Today we're going to talk about how I can get a nice cold drink of spring water. Literally, that's what it's all about today. My recommendation is always to have something to boil your water in. It is the best way to disinfect any type of contaminated water. Now, this water probably is not contaminated, but it's always good to be on the safe side. So boiling is a surefire bet of being able to clean up your water and then be able to drink it. The downfall with it, especially now headed in the spring and summer, is you're normally going to be hot and sweaty and it's hot out. So who wants to get a fire going and who wants to have to wait for that water to cool down? So the second option is to carry a water filter with you. There's all different ones on the market. Do your research, see what you like best, and carry that along with you. But they're big and bulky, or maybe you even forget it at home. So if you don't have either option, what can you do? Well, you can dig a hole. Yes, that's right. You can just dig a hole and utilize the earth and Mother Nature in your favor. Yet again, that's what we love to do on this channel. So today we're going to look at how to dig a coyote well and how it actually works. And it's so simple and so easy. All right, so what you're going to notice now, of course, I'm next to the stream. Okay, we said this already and established it, but let's reiterate. We're next to the stream. What we're going to do now is we're going to allow the earth between the stream and the stream bank in this section to filter our water. So it's a real simple concept. I'm going to dig a hole off to the side. 2 to 3 feet off is going to be about best. And this is going to be extremely situational dependent. In my case, I don't have sandbars or anything else. It's a pretty narrow stream with tight banks. So I have to find a lower area here that I can actually dig. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a stick and I'm going to start to dig. In my case, I'm about 2.5 to 3 foot off of the actual running water. When I dig down, initially it's just going to seem like a hole and nothing's happening. So I'm going to watch that for a little bit. It should start to then fill up with water over some time. Okay, now you don't want to have to wait an hour for this to happen. If you don't see it starting to fill up within a minute or two, dig a little bit deeper. As you dig down and you get below the actual water source itself, what's going to happen is that water that's in the groundwater is going to start to seep through all of that earth between where it's laying there and your coyote well, and you're going to see that coyote well start to fill up with water. Now initially it's going to be a little bit murky, a little bit muddy, but that will settle out. So once you dig this hole, you got to let it sit for a little while. You're going to come back to it, and then that is your coyote well. You can take your cup or your hand, reach down in there and drink. The earth is acting as a filter. Worst part of this whole situation though is digging. So that's what I got to do now. Grab a stick and start on digging. So I'm going to clean up some of these roots so I can get in there a little bit better. But what you can probably see really quickly here is when I reach my hand in, I have muddy, murky water down in there. This is going to have to just sit for a little bit. As it's sitting, it's beginning to fill up, which is exactly what I'm looking for. If I notice that it stops to fill up, okay, that it seems like it just stopped there, I need to dig a little bit deeper. Okay, so you do have to get in here, you got to get a little dirty, and then you got to give it a little bit of time. Now what you're going to notice is this, after sitting for about 10 minutes, that this water level has risen a little bit. As this was rising, I did go and I dug a little bit deeper. Okay, so that helped it. It seemed like I just need to get down a couple more inches, and it really started to move a little bit quicker. As I was digging though, of course you're disrupting soil and stuff, but if you're watching it closely, it might be hard to see on the camera, but you're going to see that water is actually moving inside there. That means it's still feeding up into there, and it's doing what it needs to do. So what I'm waiting for now is for that murk and mud just to settle out in there, and then my hole will be clean and I can start getting water out of it to drink. Okay, so this is a little bit hard to see on camera, but what we got going on here is the murkiness is starting to settle out. Now, the longer this sits, the more murkiness will settle out of this, but looking at it just top down, what you would think right away is that there's a lot of mud left in there, but the mud is actually settling, and the water it is clean and the dirt is starting to separate, just like you would think oil and water looks like it's separating. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my cup now and I'm gonna dip some of this top water off and we'll pour it in my hand and see how clean it actually looks. All right, so get down in there. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you are being gentle with that, okay? The more that you disturb that well, the muddier it's gonna get. The water itself though, okay, let me get the camera readjusted here, is pretty clean. You see me pouring it, right? That looks pretty clean overall. I'm drinking it. Somebody will say, you didn't drink it. It doesn't taste too bad. You could tell there's a little bit of particles in there, like dirt, okay, in it, but overall it's not that bad at all. All right, so pouring it into my hand, what you're gonna see is that water is actually not all that bad, okay? Pretty clean. Now, me saying that the water is clean doesn't mean that it is totally disinfected, and that's something that you need to realize, that just because water looks nice and clean doesn't mean that all the bacteria or viruses might be out of it. But utilizing the ground between our water source and our coyote well is going to help possibly remove some of that. It's also going to filter our water. So although it is a little bit muddy still with some particles of dirt in that hole yet, as that continues to sit and cleans itself up more and more, that water will get cleaner and cleaner, to the point that I can just go over throughout the day now and just keep dipping my cup in and drinking it. At the end of the day though, think of this as more of a purification type method and less of a disinfection type of method. So if you ultimately want perfectly clean water that you can drink and you don't have to be afraid of at all, you really need to think about boiling. But if you don't have that option and you don't have a filter, use Earth's filter to at least put your mind at ease a little bit. And at the end of the day, don't become dehydrated and die and not drink water, okay? Drink it and take that chance if it comes to that. And you know, when you get home, hopefully safely, then you can always get medicines to take care of that. So just another little technique here. A coyote well, a fun thing to do. It's fun with kids also to do because they get to dig in the dirt a little bit and then they can keep going over and checking it and kicking more dirt in and the thing never gets clean, but they'll have a good time with it. So definitely give it a shot with them. So this was Dan Wolak with Coalcracker Bushcraft. Hope you enjoyed this coyote well video. As always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com, and until next video, stay in the woods.